Welcome back to our deep dive into explainable AI. Last time we really dug into the why of XAI, talking about transparency and those kind of scary black box models. But now I'm curious, how do we actually make those black boxes, less mysterious? How do we actually understand what's going on inside?
That's a great question. And the sources actually give us some really good insights into the techniques and tools that are out there. It's like we're about to unlock the secrets of those AI systems.
Okay, I'm ready to unlock some secrets. What are some of the methods that are being used to open up those black boxes and really see how the AI is making decisions?
Well, one of the most important things is transparency. Remember that analogy we talked about before with the instruction manual? Transparency is all about documenting that entire development process of the AI model. So, things like its architecture, the training data that was used, any important decisions that were made along the way. It's about being open about how the AI was built, what it's made of.
Okay, so it's about being upfront about the AI's origins. But how does that actually translate into practical tools? Are there specific methods for achieving this level of transparency?
Definitely. One that they mentioned in the sources is model cards. And these are basically documents that give you a comprehensive overview of the AI model, kind of like a fact sheet or, a user manual. They outline the model's purpose, its strengths, its weaknesses, the data it was trained on, and even any ethical considerations that were taken into account.
So it's like we're providing this clear picture of what the AI model is all about, what it's good at, where it might struggle, how it was designed responsibly. That sounds like a pretty valuable tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Model cards are a great way to promote transparency and allow people to make more informed decisions about whether to trust and use a particular AI system.
Okay, model cards make a lot of sense, but there's another term that they mentioned, something called data sheets for data sets. That sounds kind of, I don't know, meta. Can you explain what those are all about?
It does sound a bit strange at first, but it's actually super important. The data that's used to train an AI model, that's like its foundation.
Mhm.
So if that data is messed up, biased, incomplete, the AI is going to inherit those problems. And data sheets for data sets, they basically give us detailed information about the data itself. Like where did it come from? How was it collected? What are the limitations? And what are the intended use cases?
So it's like a quality control check for the data. We got to make sure that the AI is learning from good, solid information.
Exactly. Data sheets help researchers and developers understand the data they're working with, and that leads to, more responsible AI development.
Awesome. So we've talked about transparency, which is like the first step. But what about interpretability? How do we actually design AI models that are inherently easier to understand?
One way is to actually use models that are just more interpretable by design. And a really classic example of this, you might even remember this from, school or something, is decision tree.
Oh yeah, decision trees. Those are those diagrams, right? With all the branches, where you follow a path based on a series of decisions.
You got it. Decision trees are considered interpretable because you can literally see how each decision is being made. It's a very clear path from the input to the output.
It's like we're following a map of the AI's thought process.
Exactly. And the sources also talk about a more advanced type of model called a monotonic neural network. And they're specifically designed to make sure that the relationship between the input and the output is consistent and predictable.
Okay, so with a monotonic neural network, if you increase a certain input, the output will either always increase or always decrease. It won't suddenly switch directions.
Exactly. That predictability makes it a lot easier to understand what the AI is doing and to trust that it's making decisions in a way that makes sense.
That makes sense. So we have decision trees and monotonic neural networks. Those are examples of models that are built to be interpretable from the start. But what about those black box models, the ones that aren't so easy to understand just by looking at their structure? How do we deal with those?
Yeah, that's where techniques like SHAP, saliency maps, and concept activation vectors come in. These methods are all about trying to understand the AI's decisions after it's already been trained.
Okay, let's break those down one by one. We talked about SHAP a little bit last time, but could you remind us, what does it stand for and how does it actually work?
Sure. SAP stands for Shapley Additive Explanations, and it's basically a method that helps us understand how much each feature is contributing to a specific prediction that the AI makes. So, for example, let's say an AI is recommending a movie for you. SHAP could help us understand, what were the factors that led to that recommendation? Was it your past viewing history, your favorite genres, or maybe the ratings from other users who have similar tastes to you?
Okay, so SHAP kind of breaks down the AI's decision-making process and tells us which ingredients were the most important in that particular recipe.
Yeah, exactly. And it even gives us a way to quantify the importance of each factor. So we can say, okay, this factor was really influential, while this one didn't matter as much. And that gives us some insight into the why behind the prediction.
That's super cool. What about saliency maps? Those were also mentioned as a technique for understanding black box models, right?
Right. Saliency maps, they're a visual technique. So what they do is they highlight the areas of the input data that were the most important in the AI's decision-making process. So for example, let's say we have an AI that's analyzing a photograph to, identify a certain object. A saliency map might highlight the specific features of that object that the AI was really focused on.
So it's like we can see what the AI is paying attention to, like we're looking through its eyes.
Yeah, it's a great way to think about it. And saliency maps can help us to uncover any potential biases or flaws in the AI's reasoning.
Okay, so we've got SHAP and saliency maps. Now, what about these concept activation vectors? Those sound kind of complicated. Could you break it down for us?
So concept activation vectors, or CAVs, are a bit more abstract. They're a way to explore how an AI is representing and understanding these higher level concepts. So like instead of looking at individual features, we're trying to see how the AI is connecting its internal representations to, ideas that we humans can understand.
So it's like we're trying to decode the AI's language and translate it into our own language.
Exactly. CAVs give us a glimpse into the AI's conceptual space, which can be really helpful in understanding how it's processing information.
Wow, this is incredible. It seems like we have this whole arsenal of tools for understanding AI, from transparency methods to techniques for interpreting those really complex black box models.
Yeah, we're definitely making progress. And the field of XAI is constantly evolving, so researchers are coming up with new and innovative techniques all the time.
That's great to hear. It seems like we're on the right track to making AI more transparent, more interpretable, and ultimately more trustworthy. But I'm curious, how are these techniques actually being applied in the real world? Like, are there specific industries or applications where we're seeing this stuff in action?
Definitely. And the sources actually have some really interesting examples of real-world applications of XAI. In fact, that's what we're going to talk about next time. We'll explore how these techniques are being used across different domains and see how they're actually making a difference in areas like healthcare, finance, and criminal justice. Get ready for some real-world insights.
All right, so welcome back to the deep dive. We've spent the last couple of parts really digging into explainable AI, talking about why transparency is so important and, all the different tools that we can use to actually understand these AI systems. But now I want to know, where is this stuff actually happening? Where's XAI making a real difference in the world?
Well, the sources you sent, they actually have some really cool examples of how XAI is being used in all sorts of different areas. One that really pops out is healthcare. AI is just like blowing up in healthcare these days.
You're right. I mean, AI is being used for everything from diagnosing diseases to like personalizing treatment plans. But with all this progress, I think it also raises some big questions. Like, how can we be sure that AI is being used responsibly when we're talking about something as important as healthcare?
That's exactly where XAI comes in. So let's say we have an AI system that's analyzing, medical images, trying to detect signs of some kind of condition. The AI might be super accurate, but if the doctors don't understand how it's reaching its conclusions, they might be a little hesitant to actually rely on its recommendations.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, doctors need to understand the reasoning behind a diagnosis. They can't just blindly trust a machine, right?
Exactly. And XAI can help to bridge that gap by providing that transparency into the AI's decision making. So instead of just giving a diagnosis, the AI could actually highlight the specific areas in the image that led it to that conclusion. So the doctor can actually see what the AI is focusing on.
So it's like the AI is showing its work, so to speak.
Exactly. And that allows the doctor to really understand the AI's logic and, gain more confidence in its assessment.
It sounds like XAI is really crucial for making sure that AI is being used, responsibly in healthcare. Are there other industries where we're seeing a similar kind of impact?
Absolutely. Another big one is finance. Think about things like, loan applications or credit scoring. Those decisions can have a huge impact on people's lives. And it's really important to make sure that those decisions are being made fairly, without any bias.
Yeah, we've talked about the potential for bias in AI, and that's especially worrying when we're talking about something like finance, where biased decisions could have really serious consequences.
I agree. And XAI can help to address that risk by making those financial algorithms more transparent. If we can understand how the AI is reaching its conclusions, we can identify any potential biases and take steps to fix them. So XAI can help us to build a fairer system overall.
So XAI is helping to hold these AI systems accountable and make sure that they're not discriminating against anyone unfairly.
Right. And beyond fairness, XAI can also help to build trust in these systems. When people understand how decisions are being made, they're more likely to have confidence in the system, even if the outcome isn't what they were hoping for.
That's a great point. Transparency really is key when it comes to building trust.
Absolutely. And the sources also talk about how XAI is becoming really important in criminal justice, too.
Oh yeah, that's an area where the stakes are like incredibly high. And the potential for AI bias is really scary.
Hmm.
I mean, we've already seen cases where people have been wrongly accused or arrested because of problems with AI systems. So it's clear that we need to be extremely careful in this domain.
For sure. And XAI can play a really important role here. For example, XAI can help to make facial recognition systems more transparent, so we can understand how the AI is making identifications and figure out if there are any biases that are leading to inaccurate or unfair results.
So by understanding how these AI systems work, we can help to prevent those kinds of injustices.
Exactly. It's about making sure that AI is used to enhance justice, not, create more problems.
It's so fascinating to see how XAI is being used in so many different areas and the impact it's having on all these decisions that really affect our lives. It's not just about understanding the technology, it's about using it to create a better world, a more trustworthy world.
I couldn't agree more. It's about making sure that as AI gets more powerful, it's used in a way that benefits everyone.
Absolutely. Well, this has been an amazing deep dive into the world of explainable AI. We've learned so much about why it matters, how it works, and the real-world impact it's having.
It's been a great conversation.
And to our listener, we hope you'll keep learning and keep asking questions about AI. It's a fascinating field, and it's only going to become more important in the future. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.